gosh, I guessed the card right.
Yeah, truly amazing, Linda.
I don't know, but I think it's really some sort of extra sense or something, like ESP.
Okay, try this.
Okay, it's a 7.
I don't believe it!
Of spades. Queen of spades. 4 of hearts. 8 of spades. 2 of spades. Jack of diamonds. Jack of clubs.
Why have you disturbed our sleep? Awakened us from our ancient slumber. You will die!
Welcome to the Haddonfield. Oh, Jesus Christ. Welcome to the Haddonfield Horrors podcast, where we discuss all things horrors, from one-off movies to franchises, TV shows, and expanded media. I'm Mark.
I'm Tawan.
And today we're reviewing The Evil Dead, which was originally released in 1981, directed and written by Sam Raimi. Tawan, can you give the people the plot summary?
Ash Williams, his girlfriend, and 3 pals hike into the woods to a cabin for a fun night away. There they find an old book, the Necronomicon, whose text reawakens the dead when it's read aloud. The friends inadvertently release a flood of evil and must fight for their lives or become one of the evil dead. Ash watches his friends become possessed and must face a difficult decision before daybreak to save his own life. But before we get into our discussion of The Evil Dead, we have some Haddonfield headlines to go across this week. First up on the docket, as this will be a very quick one, Ready or Not 2, Here I Come, release date has been bumped up by 2 weeks. The movie had an original date set for April 10th, but now will be releasing in theaters on March 27th. I think that's a good sign. It seems like they're probably confident in it, in the movie releasing. It's not really slated to go against any, even with the previous date that it had, it wasn't going against anything of importance that would obviously impact it per se. But even being pushed up, it's still not going like against any other movie that I think could impact it. So yeah, I'm glad they feel pretty positive about the movie enough to push it up. This is definitely one that I'm excited for this year. I love the first Ready or Not. I think me and Mark talked about it enough, but we haven't actually reviewed them yet for the show. We will
I haven't
be
seen
doing
it,
that.
so yeah. So I'll be watching it for the first time when we review it, getting ready for Ready or Not too.
Yeah, so I think, because let's see, if this is Evil Dead, we got about 5 of these to go through.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, so we should be able to get, by the time we get to the second movie for Ready or Not, we should be able to review that for you guys. So that'll be fun. Like I said, looking forward to it. Samara Weaving, love her. And Catherine Newton is in there as well. And
Love Catherine Down.
yeah, Radio Silence, we're back to direct and all that good stuff. So yeah, I think this will be good. I'm glad it's coming up a little bit quicker than we originally expected. Another one that on the headlines that I actually saw recently is that Lionsgate teases potential new Saw video game in development in addition to a John Wick video game. Now, I for one remember those Saw games.
They were good.
They were fine.
They were I mean, look, I'm comparing it to the slew of horror movie video games we've gotten since, and I feel like that one was the most original. Now, if it can keep us in that lane of the original games and just like update the graphics, update the story, get a better script, I'm okay with that. As long as it doesn't do, we got a group survive a jigsaw trap BS that we get in, which is basically copying the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game and the Friday 13th game. As long as they don't do that, it can be good.
I don't think there's a scenario for that, at least in regards to Saw, just because of the way that, it is. It's not like slash oriented, because I remember those earlier Saw games being more like
you were
story
one
puzzle
person.
based. They were
Very.
like kind of puzzle based for you to like get out of the traps and whatnot, and under a time limit, what you had to do. So we could
It was like
probably
playing a
get
game
this
of Fear
up.
Fact. It was like playing the trap, which was actually pretty cool. Like,
Yeah, so that was pretty fun, but you'll have to see because back then and like that because I remember those games came out in, like
2000,
2008 and 2010.
2004. Yeah.
Um, so at that time we were just, any movie that was coming out had a video game. So
Which I missed that era. I honestly missed that. Can you bring that back, please?
no more slop, please.
Super Bad had a good video game.
Superbad had a video game.
It was on the
I didn't even know that. Oh my god! But yeah, that was a fun era though. But do I want to see it back? Probably not, because with the way these gaming companies are these days. Ugh. But yeah, they mentioned Saw, but also John Wick. Now that perked my ears up
I'm excited
because
for that.
John Wick, like they don't even. I don't need it to be based on any of the movies. Like they could just have him in the past or some shit. Us doing like a past thing that he did,
Oh,
like.
doing a past mission like that's unknown.
Yes, because like I don't want to. I don't want to recap of the movies unless they. I need to. They do a
Or
recap, like
we
it'll be
could do his
fun.
last mission before he retired.
Exactly, like something like that. Like I would need to see something like that, and like they. I could just envision it being good off the top of my head if the right people get attached to it. I could just envision it being good. Um, and I'm sure Keanu. Keanu one. He love a check because he be in everything, and like he loved John Wick, so I know he'll voice him for the check. Um, I don't see the bad thing about that, to be quite honest with you. But they haven't. There isn't any like actual development. It's more so the idea of them being in development. If you all want the official quote, this was from Adam Fogelson, who is chairman of Lionsgate. And he said, our AAA game opportunities and other gaming opportunities around John Wick and Saw and some others that we'll be announcing soon, we're seeing increased interest and increased opportunity, and we remain on schedule. So I think it's why can't I read the word today? Totality. You are going to see a meaningful additive financial opportunity coming in the coming years. So it looks like they've probably already been talking to some possible developers for this stuff. So they're saying that, they're going to be announcing some things soon. So, excited to see what comes of that. Um, Horror games in recent years, as Mark mentioned earlier, have been just Dead by Daylight clones, basically. And the only one that I'm aware of that is not being that as of right now is the Hellraiser game that's coming out later this year, which interested to see where that's going. Um, and if the reviews are decent, I might cop it, but we'll see once we get there because it seems like that Halloween video game is also going to be another Dead by Daylight clone as
Mm.
well. In other news, we have another trailer that was released a little while ago since we spoke with you guys for Disclosure Day, which will be the new Steven Spielberg movie, and it is going to be sort of sci-fi horror type of vibe going on. And as soon as I watched the trailer, I immediately sent it to Mark when it first dropped, and we were like, "Yeah, we're in there."
Yes. I've been
And
waiting for Steven Spielberg to come back with some heat.
yeah, I'm very excited to see what's going to come with this because Spielberg hasn't given us any aliens or like this is given like summer blockbuster. Like this is given like one of those OG like summer blockbusters where it's something original from a big director, and it's probably like I'm expecting it to be a good one. Like the vibes seem really good from the trailer alone. Um, I don't know anything really. Like it was just like that classic vibe of like a good trailer where It made me want to see the movie. Didn't tell me much of anything though, but I'm intrigued and I'm down. I'm down for it. Um, Last thing that Spielberg came out with was the Fablemans back in 2022. So he's been MIA since then. So this will be his first movie in almost 4 years. Mark, how excited are you for Disclosure Day?
Well, I've been waiting for Steven Spielberg to get behind the director's chair or get back in the director's chair for something good for a long time. So I'm excited for this. I also love Emily Blunt, and I've been watching a lot more stuff with Josh O'Connor, and so I'm excited.
Hmm. Yeah, I think this is going to be a good one. I'm excited for when this releases. Might be one that might be one that we cover as well. Um, later on in the year, so we can definitely see about that. But yeah, movie again is called Disclosure Day. Trailer is out now, and as of this moment, it is set to release on June 12th of 2026. But our last story of the day, which isn't direct horror movie news and more so just speaking on, industry in general. But following up on our conversation we had a little bit ago about Netflix and their purchasing of Warner Bros., we were discussing mainly theatrical releases because we know Netflix is a streaming platform. They do release certain things in theaters at times, mainly um, one for the money, but also at times for awards and all that type of stuff when they want a hit on their hands. And that was really a hotly debated topic of them purchasing Warner Bros. And people who are fans of going to the movies and that type of thing. And with them buying out Warner Bros., who is putting out movies such as Dune, Superman, Final Destination, like things like franchises and such like that. A lot of people, while people say that movie theaters are dying, a lot of people do still want to see the movies in theaters. So Netflix reportedly wants to keep their movies in theaters at just 17 days after it buys Warner Bros., which sounds insane to me. Um, so with that, it will essentially mean that movie comes out on the first of the month, it would be on Netflix by the 18th. A little over 2 weeks essentially. Um, and I don't know how I
I
feel
I
about it.
I say 34 days. Give it 34 days. That's a nice number. 34 days. A month plus a few days left over. And like 17 days isn't at least a month. At most, if you want to do a cap on it, do 60 days. But 17 is not enough.
Yeah, so the official quote from the article is sources have told Deadline that Netflix have been proponents of a 17-day window, which would steamroll the theatrical business, while circuits such as AMC believes the line needs to be held at around 45 days. And I would agree. I think um, if I like if I was to do it, so that it would be probably like 30, 35 days, a month, like a little, like just slightly over a month, but could be lessened depending on box office.
That
Because
makes sense.
for instance, like Blumhouse, with the reception that Five Nights at Freddy's got, it wasn't doing too good. Like the second one that just came out, and I think it was probably in theaters for maybe like 2.5 weeks, and then they released it on digital for people to start renting it and watching it at home. Which, I mean, that's fair. If nobody's going to see it anymore at the movies, fuck it,
Don't
recoup
wa-
the cost
don't
somewhere else.
yeah. Don't waste that money.
So I find that
Good
to like in
deal.
my
That
mind,
would
I
make
find
more
that to be
sense.
fair, depending on the box office. But and it can't be like a flat thing. I feel it's got to be a per movie thing because we can't say like this little indie flick that Warner is releasing needs to make 200 million, the
Yeah,
same as
no.
like a blockbuster. I think it could be per the actual determinate amount could be per movie, but like the actual line will be 35 days plus.
Like
It,
if you're
it,
already
and it,
slated
yeah,
to win back the to get back the budget, and you think there's a possibility that you can get more than that, then yeah, go ahead and extend it. But if you think you're gonna cap out at the budget or less, then pull it. Put it on the streaming services. Put it on Netflix.
yeah, and
But you have
all
to
the
give it time. Like word of mouth takes about 10 to 15 days anyway, even with social media.
yeah, like think of what that they get that happen to Sinners.
Sinners grew and grew. Like Sinners didn't
Like
really
they
hit
if
and
they put
Sinners
if they
didn't
immediately
really
put it
hit.
on what's yeah.
Yeah, Sinners didn't like really hit until like the second or third week. They was gonna be ready. They was gonna be packing that shit up at that point and messing around with Netflix.
Yep.
See, Netflix, we was
Now
all rooting for you. We was all rooting for you because them people over there at Paramount, they up to some funny shit. They released a statement today for the CBS Evening News released a statement. That statement reads, we are government owned television and everything gonna be fake. So we got it. You know, we was rooting for you because Paramount is evil. And then y'all come and do this bullshit.
now
Like like Netflix, come on.
with that said, this all of it is still up in the air. This is speculated from insiders at the moment. But also, even if it was put in place, this wouldn't affect the 2026 slate. It would probably go into place next year. But that does still affect a lot of movies next year if this was in place, such as like the Man of Tomorrow movie, the Superman sequel, new Lord of the Rings movie, the Batman 2, Godzilla X Kong coming out next year. So it would be some big movies that would be immediately like ousted and put into onto streaming. Now, it's not to say that these movies will be leaving theaters. If this is it's not to say they would be leaving theaters. They would just be on streaming consecutively. But that's just gonna take a chunk, and then people are just gonna at that point not go to the movies because they're like, well, I can hold out for 2.5 weeks, and it'll be at home with the Netflix account. And then with that, and even more so with that, you just know they are waiting to raise that fucking Netflix price again because Netflix then raised their price so many fucking times in the past couple years. It's crazy. And I just know they waiting for that HBO Max Netflix bundle with Disney Plus and Hulu and all that shit to hit so they can raise the prices again. But do you, before I end this section, Mark, do you have anything else to say on this?
I am good.
All right. Well, that is our headlines this week, and I'll kick it back to Mark so we can discuss The Evil Dead.
Well, The Evil Dead, released in 1981. This was my first time watching this movie. I've always had like the Evil Dead movies like around. I have a friend who loves the Evil Dead franchise. He's been trying to get me to watch these movies and the TV show for years. I just never got around to it. Like I've always known what movie made Sam Raimi. He made some of my favorite Spider-Man movies, and he made a decent Doctor Strange movie, but I never saw the movie that like got his foot in the door. And I've always been curious about this movie because it has such a long history and a crazy fan base. And people did tell me that I shouldn't judge the rest of the franchise or the next two movies based off this movie because there's a tone shift. But I I enjoyed this movie. It was watching it in high quality. You saw some things that wasn't originally intended to be seen. It was a little dated looking, but I feel like the acting was good. It was giving me the low budget, horror movie acting, and I was okay with that. This was a decent movie. I'm mad it took me so long to watch it. What about you, Twan? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I actually I'd seen Evil Dead like years ago, and I remember I watched it because I watched the 2013. I watched it after I'd seen the 2013 one that was kind of like a remake ish of
Mm.
the original, and I wasn't really aware of the original franchise as much. I was aware of the character of Ash though, just because he's kind of a pop culture figure, and I've seen that character pop up in like other places or just like be brought up in certain like things. Um, but I didn't really know of the original movie and like what it was. So I remember after seeing the 2013 one, I sought out the original, and at the time, I remember it was actually on Netflix, so that's how I watched it. And yeah, I did like it when I first saw it. Um, it was a fun watch, and it was just once I really dug into it because I only had just knew about the movie, so I didn't know it was like Sam Raimi attached to it. And then I was like, oh shit, the guy that did Spider Man did this. Like, and then when I saw it was also Sam Raimi of like Drag Me to Hell fame, I was like, okay, that makes sense. Because he definitely does a lot of the same things that he did in this movie to this day, and we love him for it because like it's like those just is like
I
that
was
style.
noticing that. I was noticing that. I was like, huh, okay. I've seen this shot in a Spider-Man or two.
Hmm. And yeah, I did like this one. This was I was glad to do this rewatch, and I'm just glad to do these in general because I like the most recent movies, and we're also getting another one this year coming out.
Mhm.
Um, and I've been telling Mark, I was like, we gotta do Evil Dead because I want you to get to Evil Dead like Rise in 2013. But I don't really come back to watch this one as often because like it is still good. It just definitely shows his age a lot more now, especially with like 4K restoration and all that stuff. Like we're seeing a lot more shit that we should not be seeing. um, and that's not the movie's fault. It's just restoration and making stuff way more defined than it should be. Um, for like
Like
certain
Crisp, which was
like
not
yeah
okay.
yeah like certain effects and stuff like that, which could be passable watching like a 720p copy on a laptop screen, but me looking at this 4K copy on my fucking 55-inch TV, and I could see like the bits to make up and all that shit. Like it's not like a bad thing on the movie's part. It's just like, damn, this movie is old and showing its age. But when you consider what it took to get it made and like the process and all that stuff and how indie and it like it was at like for them to do it, like that makes sense, and I'm glad that they were able to get it done and create it. um Bruce Campbell was really good in this, for it to be his first movie. He was really good in the role of Ash, and I'm glad he still likes the character because doing the character that long ago and still popping out for either like a cameo or something like that, um after all these years can get grating. Some people hate the characters they played this long ago, think of fucking Harrison Ford, Han Solo type shit. But like Bruce Campbell loves Ash, and anytime that he's called upon to like do something regarding the character, like he will, and he loves the franchise as well. So I'm glad that he stuck with it so long, and him and Sam Raimi, he still loves this franchise that he created. So I'm glad we're finally doing this one, and this movie still holds up pretty well.
Yeah, I was really excited to watch this one. This is why I picked this movie, this franchise to help kick off 2026. This is our first episode, 2026, and I was excited for this. Very interesting. But let's get over to the scenes. No, the scenes that stood out for us: the good, the bad, the indifferent. And I want to say the whole like opening scene. I like the camera work on that.
Hmm.
How there's this like the camera just like driving up with them, but also like from everything that I've seen of the Evil Dead, it's always I'm guessing it's always either Dead 2 or Evil Dead. I mean, or Arm of the Darkness because
Yeah.
just off rip seeing like a normal Ash, I was like, huh, okay, that's not what I'm expecting, and just to see how like closed in and like singularly focused it was all getting ready to be, it kind of set me up for like a different mood than I was expecting before I hit play. So I love how like the opening scene just kind of like set the vibe. The next scene that stood out for me is when he just dragged Linda outside and then left her there because it was
He's
like,
like, he's like, we got to handle a couple things, but I just need you to get out here first.
let me just
It's
get you
like,
outside. I was
and
like,
then let's get back to more pressing matters.
I'm like, is that all you're gonna do? She's gonna come back. Like she's gonna come back. Like you didn't hit her, you didn't like tie her up, you just dragged her outside and left her there. Okay. And then the scene that almost got me, just a little almost got me, is when he went back to give Scotty the glass of water
Oh yeah,
and he was already dead. I was like, no. But then I was also like, Scotty coming back. Scotty
he
coming
coming
back.
back all right.
Um the scene where they were just like reading the book and pushing play on the tapes, like
Book is bound in human flesh and inked in human blood. It deals with demons, demon resurrection, and those forces which roam the forest and dark bowers of man's domain.
why y'all in there touching stuff? Like when you just see some
Exactly.
weird shit, just leave it be. They always doing something. What about you? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? What are the scenes that stood out for you? Good, bad, or indifferent?
Um, one scene that stood out for me is when they try to leave. They get in the car, Ash and this girl, and they get in the car and they try to leave, and we just see the bridge like demolished, and the way they really weren't. Like, obviously, they were concerned that they couldn't get away, but like, if I'd seen that, I'm like, what the like? I would have been so I wouldn't even know what to think. The bridge looked like somebody literally like chomped away at it, and it was just destroyed. Like, I feel like in the 2013 one, there's a little bit of explanation for it, but in this one, it's just like, damn, we are stuck for real right now. Like, I was like, when I saw it the first time, I was like, oh fuck, it's done. So it's curtains for them. Um, so that was one. Another scene when like blood just starts coming from like everywhere, and Ash is just getting
Oh yes.
covered from blood, like from everything inside. Like the shot of it coming out the light bulb, that was a good shot. And then when it covered the projector and it was like kind of overlaying on top of him, like that was a good scene as well. Another one, which I like the scene because it's kind of one of those. If I was in this scenario, if this happened to me, like what would I tell someone? Is when I'm forgetting her character's name. Let me just pull that up really quick. Um, Arrow when she was drawing by the window and and like the evil that she takes over and like just starts carving the book into her notepad and like it just starts like frenetically like carving the book into the notepad or whatnot. And I was like, if I was in a situation, would I just not tell anybody that? Because like imagine you go back to your friends like I'm about to eat and you're like, my something just took over my hand and started drawing this weird shit in my notepad.
That's something you keep to yourself, unfortunately.
But it's like, damn, it's like, but it's exactly. It's like you keep to yourself, but like maybe we could have got out the situation quicker. Or
Mm-mm.
at that point, I would have just been like, y'all, we gotta go. Something ain't right. We gotta go. And then I would just hope that they go because either way, I'm taking the car. But yeah, I felt bad for her, and from that moment on, because I was like, oh fuck, it wants you bad, it wants you bad, girly. And lastly, a shot that I like is when the camera like went through the woods and through the whole house, and they had that last like shot on Ash at the end. That was a good one as well.
Well, let's move on over to our character section. First up, let's move on over to talk about Scotty and Cheryl. I kind of felt sad when Scotty died. Like that whole I could talk about it in the scene section, like when Ash was like walking back to get him the cup of water, and he was already dead, and then he popped back up trying to kill him, and Ash had to take him out, had to take out Deadite. Scott. Cheryl was tweaking for most of them. Like since they once they got to the cabin, Cheryl was tweaking, and like she had to go. But what about you? What are your thoughts on that?
No, yeah, I felt bad for both of them, and especially Cheryl because she got sexually assaulted by demonically possessed trees in the fucking
That
forest.
okay, I forgot to mention that scene. That was wild as shit. Very out of place.
Yeah, nowadays Sam Raimi said he doesn't like that scene, but yeah, he can't do anything about that now. Um, but yeah, that was crazy. Like as fucked up as the scene is, it is the most iconic scene from the movie. Like when most people think of the first Evil Dead, they probably think of that scene because like that shit was crazy when I saw it for the first time. And yeah, Cheryl, she was just a goner after that point. Like there was nothing that she could do really. She was fucked up. Um, yeah, that scene with Scotty was a sad scene when he ended up dying, and then immediately and then it came back. But we knew that was going to happen from everything else that was ongoing at the time. But yeah, they were fine. One thing, I guess, the one thing I could say is, this is definitely one of those movies where while things happen to the characters, there wasn't, a lot built up for them. So we just see that things start happening to them, but they do enough to kind of make us care. It's not in the sense that like, oh, I don't care what happens to this character. It's just, we don't get so much to go off of where I can look any further than what we saw in the movie.
Well, let's move on over to Linda. Now, okay, if she would have killed Ash, I'd have been okay with that because, like, you just drug her outside and left her there. So when she came back and she stabbed his ass, I was like, you know what? You deserve that. What about you?
Oh yeah, Linda she was the one that was oh yeah, he tried to bury her as, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to get my facts right. um, yeah, Linda, she was definitely doing one of a Deadite trope where they do the whole, oh, I'm good now. I switch back. I'm regular. I'm saved. And then they immediately turn the tides and start like acting, cutting up and shit again. Um, but yeah, and Linda was definitely like attributing to that. But you were right. Like he just like Ash was dealing with a lot. So he's like, okay, we need to get rid of one factor right now, and right now that's you. So we we putting you outside. We got to deal with other things right now. It makes sense in my head if I in the situation. It's like one of these factors got to be removed for me to handle something, and you right now you got to go. So I understand exactly where you're coming from, but yeah, she was just another factor that had to go. Honestly, it all, even though like we're talking about London, it just all comes back to Ash because he had to in one way or another get rid of his whole fucking group,
Mhm.
unfortunately. And it's like, damn, there was no way out. There was no way for him to be clean out of this situation with the people that he came in here with.
Well, what are your thoughts on Ash?
Ash was a good protagonist. Um, he took a lot of damage, and as a protagonist, like shit, his leg was getting scratched at like a couch post. I mean, like a cat post at one point. He was doing um, a lot that I don't know I would be able to do. I probably would have definitely been turned into a deadite if I was in the situation, which I wouldn't be because I ain't going to no cabin in the woods. But um, yeah, if that were me, unfortunately, I yeah, they would have got me. But Ash was a different breed, and he turns up. The way he turns up, like even after this movie, is insane. But I do like because we get pieces of what's to come of Ash later on in this one, and I think that's what gets me more excited. Like while he was really good in this one, the pieces that start to come into play with certain bits that happen in this one that bring in like come forth in like the sequels are a little more enticing, I would say, than just like him in this movie alone. But either way, still a good character, like iconic character. Like he's a pop culture icon, horror movie icon. Bruce Campbell, for it to be his first role, great in the movie. Um, Considering like everything that like happened and the way they filmed it, like he did a really good job.
I mean, yeah, I do agree with that. I just thought the Ash character, I don't know. I guess I was going in with the image of Ash that you get from the clips I saw from the TV show and from Army of Darkness. So like this Ash was like not I guess I was taken by surprise. It's not what I was expecting to see. But
Yeah,
he sprung into action. He was kicking ass. I would have died.
yeah, it gets there eventually with the next two movies where we get that kind of more comedic type of type of tone. Like if I had to give a genre to each of them, like this one I would say is horror probably, and I would say the second one is more thriller, and then the third one is horror comedy.
What are your thoughts on the Deadites?
Deadites are I find Deadites interesting as far as like undead type of figures or creatures go because they all are connected, and it's all because of the Necronomicon or the Book of the Dead. And they're not just like say a zombie in like that sense, and they kind of have their own personalities while also taking on what the person like they're possessing in that sense as well, and they thrive. They're like agents. They're like agents of chaos almost. Whereas like a zombie or like another undead, like they just want to infect other people, which Deadites do want to do. They do want to get like more people on like its side or their side in that sense. But like they're more like agents of chaos, or like the shit that they do to like get there. Like they don't get like Deadites don't give a fuck.
This was my first experience with the Deadites. I was expecting more than a little. I, I guess I expected them to be like full on zombified crazy people, and I expected them to be more. I don't know. I guess everything that I'm expecting from this movie comes from the other movies. So
Hmm.
like I was a little underwhelmed, but I still think it was a good movie. Well, I still think the Deadites were good. They were good enough. They were able to keep me on my like on edge of my seat. I just expect them to be more like vicious and grotesque and like crazy.
Yeah, we'll get. I feel like that they get there, but what you're probably looking for is more in the modern ones.
Mm, okay, might be my issue. Taking all my thoughts from the modern movie and putting onto this, but let's move on over to the behind the scenes info.
So the budget for The Evil Dead was $375,000. It had a box office of 90. I'm sorry, it had a box office of 29.4 million. Some interesting facts. The completed film had its first private screening for friends and family at the Redford Theater in Detroit on October 15, 1981, which attracted the interest of producer Irvin Shapiro, who helped screen the film at the 82 Cannes Film Festival. Horror author Horror author Stephen King gave a rave review of the film, which resulted in New Line Cinema acquiring its distribution rights and giving it a wide theatrical release on April 15, 1983. The film's release was met with controversy, as Raimi had made the film as gruesome as possible with neither interest in nor fear of censorship. Writer Bruce Cowan described The Evil Dead as one of the most notorious splatter films of its day, along with Cannibal Holocaust and I Spit on Your Grave. In order to get potential investors for his feature-length film, Raimi created horror short Within the Woods in 1978, what he called a prototype film, in order to demonstrate his skills as a director. The young director cast his friends Bruce Campbell and Eileen Sandweiss as the two protagonists and produced the film for the incredibly small sum of just $1,600. As several sounds were as several sounds were unfortunately not recorded properly during the shooting, the effects had to be redone in the editing room. Dead chickens were stabbed to replicate the sound of mutilated flesh, and Campbell had to scream into the microphone for several hours. Damn. Lastly, at the premiere screening of The Evil Dead, blood donor stations were giving free tickets to the movie along with the pin badge stating "I bled for The Evil Dead" for those who donated blood. Robert Tapper joked in an interview that it was their way of giving blood back to the community after using so much fake blood during the filming of the movie. Some critics' reactions: the film currently sits at 85% on Rotten Tomatoes. The Los Angeles Times called the film an instant classic, proclaiming it as probably the grisliest well-made movie ever. Variety wrote that the film emerges as the plus ultra of low-budget gore and shock effect, commenting that the powerful and inventive camera work was key to creating a sense of dread. Lastly, Empire stated the film's reputation was deserved, writing that the film was impressive considering its low budget and the cast inexperience.
Oh, enough about them. What about us? Do we cash or pass? Evil Dead. For me, it's a cash. It wasn't the movie I was expecting, but it was still a good movie. I love the camera trickery. I love the acting. And honestly, the design of the Deadites was actually pretty good. Like it wasn't anything revolutionary, but it was still a good creepy design. And I love these low budget horror movies because I feel like that's when the directors some of their best work, and this was a good one. So it's a cash one.
Definitely a cash. This movie, jump started both Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi's careers. Without this movie, like we wouldn't have, Spider Man and so many other projects that have been created because of this one. But even just focusing on this movie alone, um, it's it's great for what it was. Like the low budget nature of the movie caused them to have to only focus on what mattered, and you can see that throughout the movie, even with the ineptitude of like this being the first of like everybody involved like movie. Everybody brought what they needed to for it to work here. They were willing to do their own stunts and all that type of thing. So I think it worked really well in their favor, and I'm glad we got this movie and the franchise that followed after it. So definitely a cash.
Join us next week as we review The Evil Dead 2, or is this Evil Dead 2? Whatever, we'll be reviewing it next week. But once again, thank you guys so much for sticking in there with us for all 2025. This is our first episode of 2026. Thank you all so much. Until next time.
Good night.
If you like this episode, please be sure to check out some from the Haddonfield Horror Cemetery, where we've covered big franchises such as Friday the 13th, Halloween, and Saw, or one-off reviews like The Blackening or Hereditary. You can follow Haddonfield Horrors on Instagram and TikTok, where the host posts updates and mini reviews. Full episodes are available on several podcasting platforms, including Spotify, as well as YouTube. If you're listening to us on YouTube, please be sure to like and subscribe. The Haddonfield Horrors podcast is produced by Mark Smart, Tawan Griffin, and Elian Cordova, themed by Lethal Injection, and edited by Mark Smart.
The Haddonfield Horror Podcast is a letter to media production.
Should we do an intro?